So hello, you know how it works. It's going to be pretty much the same, but with another focus. Now we are trying to see how we can build together some KPIs to measure the progress that we were trying to achieve, overcoming the barriers of the first panel. So for that, I'm going to call again to Claudia, and you have to help me there, Klaster. Smolan, yeah, the CEO of Intellisec. I am going to call to Maciej Malowski, Director of SAMO in Kraków, also. Janusz Pikani, good friend, the chairman of Scambald board, and also the board member of Tartu Biotech Science Park in Estonia. I'm going to call Chris Morton, also good friend from Barcelona. He's the CEO of LM Biotech, a spin-off the Barcelona Computing Center. And I'm going to call Mark Lange. He's an expert of digital transformation of public sector. We're going to have the same challenge again. I am going to first thank again the organizers, because this is really challenging for the audience and for the moderation, but I guess that more for the panelists, because I'm asking you to pair with other panelists. But we are 5 panelists, not 6, so I'm going to engage in a discussion with one of you as well as before with Jan. I think it went great, so we're going to do the same. And I will start asking each of you again to announce a little bit which are your achievements or which are the takes in this subject of the KPI building, because this is something, I mean, we all talk about progress. We have one big, as an ecosystem altogether, task to do for the next period, and is that the Commission is asking us to deliver some KPIs on the progress that we have been making in the last years with all our programs, all our collaborations, all our ecosystems working together. So what I expect from this session is that we can have some of those KPIs delivered and how we can measure this progress in innovation. So I will do the same for you. I will request to each of you to state in 3 minutes something that you want to share with us. And I will start, for example, with Janusz. It's okay, it's in the middle of the panel. I would like to refer, for example, to the Estonian Genome Project, or any other thing that you want to share with us. How do you measure the the success there, or which is the KPI you want to share?
Thank you, Monse, and I'm glad to be here, and thank you for the invitation. Yes, Estonia, we have started, if you refer to the Estonian Genome Bank, 25 years ago. And this means that this has lived through the hypes and the downturns. So, and if you know, the Estonian Genome Bank was about to actually deliver what Claudia was referring, all kinds of these services, pharmacogenomics, the polygenic risk scores, if we speak about KPIs, this 25 years ago, everybody thought that this is now over the corner. But now in 5 years, we will have this type of services. What happened was that actually it has taken much longer time. And if we look at KPIs now, I think we were mature enough to say that what will be actually delivered and implemented in the healthcare systems. And if we were speaking about Estonia, then we now have first clear and practical implication, where from next year, the breast cancer screening will be modified by the polygenic risk scores. Because we have already in our data bank genotypes which are connected to health data for 20% of adult population. And this helps us to build on this, that we can actually add some samples, and this is now under discussion, to collect additional data, not for the scientific and research purposes, but now already in the healthcare system, as a book called Squabs, for example, and do just the genotyping, and based on this data, we can actually implement this and deliver the information to their GPs, who can then advise women if there is if they are in higher 10% of polygenic risk score, to start, for example, the screening not at age 50, but at age 40. This is first time where it's actually, and I think this kind of KPI would be that how much of this research have been actually implemented in the national healthcare systems.
And I would like, and that's a very good example, Janos, thank you. But I would like from this session today also to kind of identify which is more important, or to a little bit rank by relevance those KPIs or those indicators that are focused or centered in the patient well-being, or centered in the system function, the system efficiency, or are centered in the technology, how it is delivered, how it is adopted. So those are different KPIs. Always think about impact in terms of increase or decrease, and not in a specific metrics. So we need to build a little bit on that and say which is more important. But for that, we might probably jump to the next speaker, and I would like Chris Morton also. Probably you can share something about how you think you are redefining medical testing for medical industries. Do you have some KPIs to share there, some improvement?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Monse. So LM Biotech is a virtual human twin or digital twin company, and our first platform is dedicated to running in silico clinical trials for drugs and devices as well. So we have basically beating hearts in supercomputers, female, male, and children hearts. The idea here really to start with ourselves as an indicator. We're a spin-off from a research center. So you know when you're in a supercomputer center, you don't count. So the first thing that you do when you come out and you start to use commercial capabilities, you have to start counting. So the first thing is to make sure that our virtual humans are optimized, and we constantly evolve the code to make sure that it is faster. And we also actually monitor the different types of processes to see which are the ones that are more energy hungry, or the other way around, energy efficient. So, you know, that's one thing. So one thing is about developing the technology and making sure that we do this. But then when you start to go into that space of virtual testing and using virtual populations, the first indicators that we said we should have is how unbiased the trial should be. So even when we have partners, clients, prospects who ask us to do trials that replicate real clinical trials, we actually make sure that we use 50-50 female-male subjects. So I think that's also an important indicator, because if you want to look at the impact on health, today women are not being considered enough in clinical trials. In the virtual space with virtual humans, we can do that. So it's important to monitor that we're doing this systematically.
I think that brings one KPI. I mean, because of course, there's so many things to look at to identify a KPI, but you are tackling the subject of clinical trials, the biases that we have, and how well they represent the population. So an improvement in the healthcare system, delivering solutions to patients, also goes how better the clinical trials are and why. What have we done to achieve that? So thank you for this KPI as well. And then we can talk with Maciej, for example, faster simulations, and real-time modeling can be something that you can also subject to a metric to see how well this is improving the system.
Thank you for the introduction and the invitation. I'm Maciej Malawski from Sanno Center of Computational Medicine here in Kraków, actually across the street. We are an independent research institution established as a European Center of Excellence. We work specifically on computational medicine, which is applying various types of computing, simulations, AI, data analysis for medical applications. applications. Actually, yeah, when talking of KPIs and measuring performance, this is actually my research area because I'm also a professor in computer science department here. So yeah, measuring performance of the computer system is my specialty, and optimization, yeah, because in order to optimize something, you need to first measure it. So yeah, like we heard before, in simulations, in supercomputers, it's important to optimize and measure the simulation time, execution time, because time is also money. Yeah? For example, using not only supercomputers but also commercial cloud technologies. It's, for example, possible using parallel processing to reduce the computing time from, let's say, 3 days to less than 15 minutes, which can be really a difference, yeah, because we don't have to wait for it offline, but we can get some results almost in real time. Also reducing the costs of processing in the cloud. This is important for companies, startups. For example, in one of the projects, we optimized the cost of some genomics pipelines, cutting like 90% of the cost. So this is important, I think, because when we are reducing these costs, we are also reducing the energy footprints. We know that asking or telling ChatGPT thank you or please, it costs OpenAI millions of dollars actually, because it has to process all these prompts from millions of users. So even small. And if we are going to have more AI computing systems, because this is the core of this digital health, it's important.
Maciek, you really hurt me there, because every time I interact with ChatGPT, I say thank you, and that costs a lot of money. I treat him or her like a real being. Okay, I'm not efficient. But that's very good. You put the focus on the technology, the efficiency of the technology. Janusz put the focus a little bit on the system, and Chris on the patient at the end of the day, or how are we helping them or in these clinical trials area. So Mark, also you can put the focus on the system, because you've been expert on the digital transformation of healthcare systems or in the public sector. Some thoughts about that?
Yes, indeed. Thank you for launching the ball like this. And I would even add, not only on the system, but on the user of the system. And in terms of KPI, I would certainly focus on the adoption and on KPI to measure and to try to measure adoption. But before, why adoption? Because, and let me introduce first ETEL, the organization that I'm managing. ETEL is a collaboration platform. We are based in Brussels. We work on digital health since 25 years, so before the word e-health has been invented, actually. And the particularity of ETEL is that this collaboration platform is multi-stakeholder, multi-actor, multidisciplinary, and we bring around the same table what we call the demand side of digital health services, the supply side of digital health services, and even the enabler side of digital health services. So everyone around the table, because from the beginning, we said that nothing will happen in digital health or in e-health unless everyone is around the table and unless everyone finds something for them. So that's why adoption for us is really a key element. And how to measure adoption? You mentioned, Monse, you mentioned an adoption readiness level model. Interesting. And I will have to explore that further. But we, in ETEL, we have been starting from and you probably all know the TRL model that was one day put as an annex of the Horizon 2020 call for proposals. We have started from there, and we've said, this TRL model is focused on technology, important, useful, but is far from being enough in the world of digital transformation of health and care system. To ensure adoption, And we have, with some, developed what we call the service readiness level model. Same number of layers, but to progress by integrating the technology in operations, in care processes. And this is very much about change management. And that helps to bring to adoption. And then later on, one of our members has developed an additional model to go side by side, which is a business readiness level model. Why? Because the business needs also to adopt not only the technology here, but to make the technology viable, sustainable. So we have to measure adoption. Today we are comparing, or we are combining the TRL model, the SRL model, and the business readiness level model. So that's the kind of things that we are proposing for measuring adoption.
That's a very good point. Actually, we are implementing in our region fast-track support for the adoption of technologies, and probably, Chris, you know about that because it's a service that we provide actually from my organization, and we more and more try to integrate the ARL, sorry, just the opposite. But I will also discuss this with you because I think it brings us to other collaborations possible. And Claudia, so now we have to focus on the idea of consumer genomics. Is that a thing, and how we can measure the progress there?
Thank you. Yeah, let's switch. Yes, so consumer genomics is another area where we can use genetic data in the context not of supporting diagnostics, not yet, but I've heard that it will, and I'm very happy to hear it. It will start shortly, and I know that there are companies working on implementing polygenic risk scoring to diagnostics, but ACMG, for example, American College of Medical Genetics is banning still polygenic risk scoring, so happy to talk more about it later. But polygenic risk scoring, so let's say computational model that enables us to predict an individual risk for a certain trait. It might be a heart attack, it might be a dementia, but it might be also something very simple like am I digesting vitamin D in the right way, or do I have a risk for bad cholesterol higher than others from a genetics point of view? So very practical, day-to-day questions that could be answered through consumer genomics, meaning through using polygenic risk scoring to healthy individuals that do not suffer from any specific symptoms, but are just wondering about their biological background and what to do to make their quality of life better. Because if I know that I have a higher risk than average risk for breast cancer or heart attack, then I should screen myself and test myself much more often than an average person. Of course, as it comes to KPIs, because we're talking about KPIs, I'm also from the academic world. I pursued my PhD in Institute of Pharmacology, Polish Academy of Sciences. So I can contribute to describing how much did I learn throughout the last 10 years when I started becoming an entrepreneur from being a scientist. And I think that one of the crucial KPIs is time. Firstly, time for building the product, even not the product, building the technology. It's not a product yet. You have a prototype, you need to see some need on the market. Like we see that people are interested in personalized medicine, would like to prevent rather than treat. So in order to enable them to prevent some diseases, we need to find tools how to fortune tell or predict something in the future, yeah? So genetics is a great source of information. What are you prone to? So then technology, yeah? How to build algorithms that will enable us to predict in a relevant way that you have a higher risk and you have a lower risk for a certain trait. That's first question, yeah? And you have a prototype, what do you need, who do you need, and how long will it take and how much money will it consume? Then, when we were at the stage of technology readiness, high stage of technology readiness, we were so proud that, yeah, now we can conquer on the market. And then it turned out that technology is not enough. You have to have products. Product is something different than the technology. You have to productize the technology. So you need to build marketing materials, build brand awareness, build the whole story around what you're offering, and be able to explain it in a very easy, clear way, because nobody has time to listen. And I'm already talking too much. So
No, because
so time from prototype to building the technology, then time to build the product, then actually time to acquire customers. Yeah, we're talking right now already about commercialization of the products. Yeah, so how many users, power users, so early adopters of your technology or your products you have, where to find them, what are the results of these early adopters tasks?
those are questions. So
Yeah.
next we have to identify how to measure the success there. So let's just, because we have like
Sure.
these 20 minutes for the second part of the question, so let us say that the time that is a KPI does not prevent us this rush to take into consideration how to balance other aspects as ethics and trust. And because we have to take step by step, because we are talking about people that expect this technology to impact not negatively in their life. So that's what we also can have measured. So people's trust and satisfaction or improvement of their lives, well-being is also a KPI to measure. But we will go to the second part. As before, if you were in the room before, you know that I will ask to team up to answer some of those questions. And I will start with Janusz and Mark, because we will talk about a future. I mean, Janusz is also in the Scambal Digital digital health group, with many companies that probably are developing digital avatars. And also I want to talk with Mark, you and Mark, about from research to clinical within silico models. How can this engage the transformation with healthcare providers?
Well, the avatar and the digital twins might be good tool, but still, if we are speaking about clinical applications, then this doesn't actually replace real clinical trials. This can actually be useful for the product developers on the technology side. But if you want to get to the impact, then my feeling is that this is not the end game, that you can actually prove only based on the digital twin that this tool is working, especially if we're speaking and looking this on the background of medical device regulation, how to actually indicate that this tool is clinically validated. So I think it's an important tool, and the question is, if we would have European health data space implemented, and we have possibility to use for secondary purpose the pseudo-anonymized or anonymized data. Of course, it might be complicated for the genomic data, because there is actually currently position from the lawyers that you really probably cannot totally anonymize them, because if you have DNA and you have enough computing power that you can reach back to the person. But anyway, for example, in Estonian Genome Bank, we have a rule already from the beginning, which is written in the law, that you cannot give out the data in less than 5 batches, 5 DNAs in one batch. It actually will mix this. But anyway, I see that the role of real data is still there, and that's why I think the one important sort of KPI for me is how well we can actually keep track with the proposed roadmap of implementation, the European health data space, because today we have just a scaffold. So what is your take on this?
Plenty of elements in what you just said here. If I start from the last point on European health data space, the very question that we see for the moment is how this will happen in reality. Implementing the modules, the interoperability modules and the logging modules for in front of the EHR systems. This is one thing, fine. But what will be fed through these modules? What will be the quality of the data? What will be how will the data be coded properly? And if I see, and that's the point of engaging the health professionals in this environment, we'll take the example of my own GP. In Belgium, we have a patient summary for everyone. This is mandatory and it is available. And if you go to the recent studies on patient summaries and on the compass at European level, Belgium is #1 with 100% of targets. Wonderful. But then the reality is what? I went to my patient summary, empty. Empty. It is there, but it is empty. Then I went to my GP. I have a good relationship with him. I told him, doctor, I'm participating to conferences. I'm working on digital health, and I would like to use my own patient summary to showcase how Belgium is good. He said, okay, I will do an effort, and I will put the data into the GP, into your patient summary. Fine. 1 week after, I went on my patient summary, and what did I find? A few codes on diagnosis. And surprisingly, there's one, I think that there's an error in the code, but fine, because I don't remember that I have been diagnosed on that. I'm also a bit of a patient, so I have some data, I should have some data there. Then I went to the treatment, diagnosis first and treatment. And I say, same codes. What is the value of that? So my message here really is about engaging the health professionals. That's the very question that you are asking. Engaging health professionals is essential in order for EHDS to deliver value. To deliver value to the patient and to deliver value to the healthcare system, and to deliver value for the public health and for the research and so on. It's essential. But then, what is the incentive? What is the reason why they will pay attention to that? We mentioned earlier in another session the culture of data. There is a lot of elements that we need to pay attention to in order to motivate them. And I will stop here.
No, and thank you, because we can keep talking about that for hours, but I think it can be just, we can move to the next one. But let me just say that it's still a measure of the fragmentation that we have in Europe. You mentioned this country has the health records in first place, or sometimes you can find that primary care and secondary care are together providing data. This happens in ours, but not in others. So this fragmentation in Europe is also providing some of the distances, these gaps that we have to overcome. So probably one KPI is how far we are in this gathering all the information, and as well in how reduced are the gaps among the different health systems that we have, as many as regions in Europe. That's what I'm sure of. But anyway, we go now to Chris and to Matic. Is the subject about discussing how to measure the level in which this literacy of professionals is supporting the integration of the technologies that you are using. How ready are we? How we can measure how far we are overcoming these barriers with the technology that we provide in the healthcare systems that we want to transform and we want to reduce in terms of fragmentation? It's an easy question. Who comes first?
Maybe I can start with a kind of anecdote and an example of most standard KPI, standard metric in the AI systems, which is the accuracy of the models. So if we have a classification problem of medical images, then we can measure what is the % of correct answers and incorrect answers by the AI systems, but also we can measure the same for the real people, doctors, for example, radiologists. And there are some papers, some results that say that, okay, the AI systems are better than people in some classification tasks. Some time ago, I got a call from one professor of radiology asking, I heard that you are doing some kind of research that radiologists in Poland are making more mistakes. Yeah, and they were quite surprised. And yeah, after some discussion, we explained what we mean by this actual accuracy. And yeah, but yeah, it shows that this perception of these systems, yeah, can be quite different. Yeah, so people are looking, okay, we are making mistakes. So I think there is also this issue here of understanding and trust, yeah, in these systems. So yeah, I can also ask Chris, what do you think in the terms of this, trust, or maybe other measurements that are important here? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Maciek. I was actually going to be very provocative to Monse and say that I don't think we should use KPIs.
Okay, let's go home.
No, the thing is, where do you start? I think that actually the answer to our question is really about adoption. So if you can measure adoption in some meaningful way, then you're implicitly measuring the fact that people have actually taken on board the new technologies, are embracing them, are understanding how to use them. But I'm not sure that adoption itself is, as trivial. And the reason I was saying that maybe we shouldn't have KPIs the way we know them for innovation in particular is because why do you want to stop yourself at a KPI when you can try to go for the absolute best you can do at any point in time? And Thierry will also know, my previous life was doing, even crash simulation for the automotive industry. And it has taken quite a lot of years to get to a point where, we've stopped doing single impactors for crash tests. Now, what happened at the time is if you suddenly would get an impact from a slightly different angle to the one that had been designed in the test, so you could score 100% in the test, you would be dead.
But then you want to prevent not the KPI, but the unpredictable.
Yeah, but KPIs intrinsically gives you, blind spots.
Can I connect to something you said yesterday? Nobody should bring a technology to the market, or no clinician should implement one technology in a patient unless you are 100% sure of the outcome of this.
Did I say this?
You did say that.
I
But we were talking about personalized medicine, not about virtual twins.
No, what we were saying is that not a single company would actually adopt, if you like, precision-based or implement a personalized business models unless they can actually predict the outcome, which is a little bit different.
I'm putting the load on the clinician now. But anyway.
I will just touch on this for a second, and also when you were saying what you both were saying actually. So I'm very happy to tell you that I do have a virtual model of my own heart, and I just went to get the images and we built it, so I have it. I'm very happy. I don't have to go to the doctor for it. So that's one thing. And when you were talking about like accuracy and whether you can replace trials with virtual. There is something which is, and this links again to understanding adoption. I'll just finish with this. When you have real-world evidence, there are a lot of parameters that you do not control. And it is very hard to learn how to improve models when you do not control this variability, this uncertainty. If you look at what has happened over the past 30, 40 years in the world of modeling and simulation, and what really is now also virtual human twins, but in other areas, we have had time to learn about new technologies, so to adopt new technologies and to evolve with them. But even early on, you could still make better decisions because you could see things, because you could identify things, because you could question and understand things. And I think this is something that we have to do, with innovation in the virtual human twin space.
And I'm sorry, Chris. Thank you. You know what? I know what happens when you have a mic. So it's a joke we keep doing every time we're on a stage. But I need 3 minutes with, or 2 minutes with Claudia and 2 or 3 minutes with the audience. Claudia, it's not a question related to that. So how well did they do measuring or presenting some KPIs? What could you challenge from what they said? That was not prepared.
That's a tough one. I actually really enjoyed Christopher's answer that no KPIs is the best KPI, but it actually refers to time, because when you set some KPIs, if it's time or anything else from patient, technology or market point of view, then you're somehow becoming focused on fulfilling this KPI. It's like with all the R&D projects. We were firstly fueled by R&D projects as a company. And what happens is that when we were applying for European funds, it was like 4 years before we accomplished the project that we were awarded. And the market has changed so badly that the KPIs that we set like 3-4 years before actually developing the technology should be already different. And then you need to, either apply or make some changes, and it takes, again, time. But on the other hand, how to measure success, and even the clinical adoption. How do we measure it if it's so complicated, because we have a physician or a clinician at first step, but then a patient. And in the context of consumer genomic, patients or individuals, consumers it's not only about being prepared on technology side or on science side, but also mentally prepared, that I will learn something about myself, and do I want to learn that? Or I'm scared that somebody else will learn about my risk of certain traits and how to secure my data. So probably some of you knows about 23andMe. It's the biggest consumer genomics company from the US, and their bankruptcy and all the data breaches that happened, how to face them, who's responsible, who owns the data, can the data be sold? There's a lot of questions, and people are very often not aware as it comes to consumer genomics that they own the data. So they get sequenced, and then the company that's doing it, it's actually archiving, storing the data in a secure way, but actually the owner of the data is the individual. And we're not even, so it's also a matter of awareness, I guess.
So that brings to the idea that the far we go in the use of data in healthcare, one KPI should be or has to be how secure it is, how we have the capacity to prevent these breaches, these problems with it. But let me just bring to the audience, we have a couple of minutes, and I'm sure that you might probably find that there's some stakeholders that have not been tackled with some of the KPIs. And I'm sorry, Tatiana, I'm thinking of you because you just come from Rivne in Ukraine, and your everyday reality probably doesn't fit with the KPIs that we are touching, because you are very much concerned about prosthetics, about injuries. So, and I just tell her because we are good friends. So do you want to share something from your perspective? Did we tackle what you think it is important in healthcare systems of any kind? Which is it's your time to request some of the KPIs that are not here.
Hello for everybody. I'm represented Ukraine, Ukraine Klaster Alliance. It's all medical clusters I represented too, because we have resources centers that collect 6 medical clusters, and BioCat and other partners that represented here are our partners of project Klaster for Health. We exchange the experience how to build clusters from Europe. to Ukraine. And for Ukraine now, it's really great task to be resilient and to make our healthcare area be more stronger. It's really a huge challenges, and every day we have a rocket attack and destroys our healthcare sectors and have many injuries and have many issues, but in the same time we want to be in the same part with Europe to bring these innovations to our healthcare sector. That's why it's very interesting topics that you discuss in this panel, because we want to be a part of Europe in the health data, in the this new innovation. I yesterday returned from Tallinn when I have some contacts with healthcare sectors there, and the main KPI for us now is to be stronger as a country, to make our healthcare sector more resilient, and to more closely work with Europe to be in the same stage in the development of innovation, because all our problem, all our war must not stop the development of our country.
And Tatiana, I thank you for that. I really ran out of time, but I think that you gave the right word, because all health systems should to be measuring the resilience of our systems, and we are going to support each other on that.
Thank you, Monsi. And most important message for all Europe, and I hear this words today: be faster and be prepared.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll get that. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, the panel. We had a QR code to share, but we get the final words from Tatiana. Thank you very much. Thank you, the panelists. If you want to just take this picture, there's questions on which indicators you want to share with us, because we wanted to report them tomorrow in the session tomorrow morning. Thank you very much for your attention.